Good morning, everyone. I did it again and went live to no one. Sorry, I'm running late. Market opens in right now. All right, so the market is open and we have got a gap up. So the first order of business for the market is to try to fill the gap. That is, get down to yesterday's high at 39.90. We are looking for support at yesterday's high. Support anywhere above or at yesterday's high would be what we call a gap and go, which would be bullish. Why would we think we could get a gap and go this morning? Well, we had a spike up at the end of the day on Friday. Spike rules tell us if we open above the spike, that is the most bullish scenario. So that increases the odds we will find support here at 39.90 and try to continue higher. If we cannot find support once we fill that gap, well, then that increases the odds we need to head lower. If we don't have the buyers at yesterday's high, we'll have to head down and start backfilling some of the single prints we left behind. So bullish if they can hold support right here, and bearish, on the short term for a little bit of a pullback if they can't. So the gap is now filled. Do we get buyers? All right, so no support at yesterday's high. That is a little bit bearish. Not really bearish, but I should say less bullish to see. All right, second chance. Can we turn the overnight high into support? 39.90. Okay, so twice now yesterday's high, Friday's high, does not act as support. That's a little bit less bullish to see. So if the market was really bullish, if it was all pure, just going to go higher, it should have found buyers right there and taken off back through the opening price. So the fact that we don't have the buyers yet, like I said, it's not bearish. We're still in the spike from yesterday, but it's a little less bullish. Looks like they're going to go for a third try. All right, here we go. Try number 3. Can they hold it? And for a third time, we are below the high from Friday. So the market is telling us that it's not quite ready for a gap and go. So we've got a pretty strong low here from the overnight. A lot of buyers in here. So anywhere in here we can find support. But if we break below that overnight low, if we break below 39.80, I would look to test the base of the spike at 39.74. Remember, we can get to the base of the spike from yesterday, find support there, and it could still get very, very bullish for continuation higher. All right, so here we go. Attempt number, whatever, 4 or 5 to try to find support at yesterday's high. This time, the ticks are below the zero line. This time, the sellers are starting to take control. If the buyers want a gap and go, it's now or never. All right. Well, we have new buyers above yesterday's high. They are trying. Can they hold it? Now we're going to watch the halfback right here. 39.92. Can that hold as support? Come on. Come on, buyers. Come on. Don't you give up again. All right, and passing back through the opening price increases the odds of a gap and go. Just like that, I'm bullish. So now I'm looking for them to hold. I'm going to give them a little more leeway here now that they were able to do that. I'm looking for them to hold the overnight low, 39.80. I remain bullish as long as they can keep making this support in here. That's a signal we're bringing in new buyers above the spike from yesterday. And that's bullish. All right, so let's take just a second to zoom out a little bit and try to figure out what's happening. I can't remember how much of this I explained earlier to the live stream that had no humans on it. But we got all this weakness above, all this weakness below. We got single prints that need backfilling on both sides of the market. So what you have here is just a clear indecision. Both sides of the market are just playing tug of war. And what's happening is on a longer term basis, the market is just balancing. It's literally it's as simple as that. Let's not overthink it. Quite simplistically, since this one crazy CPI day, the market is just going sideways. Trying to figure out on a bigger picture, on a longer term time frame, which way are we going? You know, are things going to be okay? Can we start to get optimistic? Is the world going to be all right? Or do we need some big, terrible recession that we haven't seen yet? That's the indecision that's happening on a bigger time frame. So to keep my mind clear on a shorter term time frame, I'm really focusing on balance and excess. The highest probability, if this is about balance, this was the previous balance area, right? So if the market went up to test the high, couldn't get above the high, came back down to test the low, looked below that low and failed, it couldn't get below the low, and it turned around and it started to head back up, in my mind, the highest probability of what it's trying to do is head back up to that opposite end of balance. It's just trying to do this dance once again. Do the dance once again. Dance once again, right? Just makes the most sense. That's where it's going. So when I see that we had a spike up on Friday, that was bullish. Okay. We opened with a gap up this morning that was bullish. Okay. And now we're getting a gap and go. We're getting new buyers above yesterday's high, which is bullish. All of those things, are bullish to me. So I'm going to give the market a chance to spend some time here and grind around. The thing about a balance area, if we are heading up towards the opposite end of balance, the thing about a balance area is it's tough to time. It doesn't always go in a straight line. As a matter of fact, a lot of times it looks like it's about to pull back at any moment while it's on its way up. So I'll be patient with the market. Like I said, I'm going to remain bullish as long as we remain above the overnight low. And let's see what it takes to keep pushing this market higher. GeoCap says, how important is it that the overnight created a perfect bell-shaped curve? Important? I don't know. I mean, it's no more important than any other overnight range, but it is a signal, right? It is a signal that there was balance in the overnight, and that's bullish for us, right? Because we had a spike up at the end of the day on Friday. The big question is, were these new buyers that got in the last hour of the day yesterday, were they wrong? Are they fixing to get squeezed? Or were they well positioned for the momentum that the market is going to get moving forward? Well, if the overnight couldn't even pull down and test that spike, well, that's a little bit bullish. Okay, so now we're looking to see, can we turn the overnight high at 4,000 or the opening price / halfback at 39.96 into support for continuation of this gap and go momentum. Can we keep the ticks above the zero line? Now that the buyers have the momentum, now that the buyers are in charge, they must remain in control. They must create that support. Got another week high. And it's an iceberg. It's an iceberg. Well, Charles, why do we care if it's an iceberg? What does that matter? Well, it just tells us that we know that they put that there to get some liquidity above. They wanted to get some people right now at this very moment going short, putting their stops up here. Just one piece of data to put into the back of our minds. There they are, 112 of them. Gotcha. All right, so we're pushing up into some resistance up here, left behind from a couple days ago. Remember that at this point, the resistance doesn't really matter. That's not what we're focused on. We're focused on support. Now that the buyers are in control, what can they turn into support? Can they turn this into support? Or do they have to pull back down to here? Can they turn this into support? Or do they have to pull back down to here? The higher up they can push it and bring in new buyers, the more bullish it is. So when we push into resistance, we expect it to get smacked down. But who cares about where it gets smacked down or how hard it gets smacked down? What we're focused on is where does it find support and how much support does it find? It's the buyers we're focused on. Do they just keep on buying? Uh, 7 Mile Reach. Is this one of those times you just got to get in, clench your butt, and hold on? It was below the opening price. Not anymore. It was a clench your butt cheek on the third and fourth and fifth attempt to find support at the overnight high. But once you passed through the opening price, you were too late, my friend. The slingshot had already launched. Now you must just wait for the next opportunity to buy support. And BBQ says, I clinched my cheeks at 93, but could only clinch unto 4,000. Well, then you didn't clinch, my friend. You took a short-term trade. That's an easy trade. To head back up and test the overnight high, that's no worries. That's very doable. Clinching your butt cheeks is trusting the momentum, trusting the fact that you had the spike up yesterday, the gap up this morning, and that you found support, making it a gap and go. And the butt cheek clench is getting long to hold it all day and just see how far they can push it. That opportunity is gone now. What you did was just a quick trade. Buy support, sell at the next possible resistance, the overnight high. That's just a short-term trade. No butt cheek clenching required for that. Just place your order, place your stop, place your take profit, Okay, so that resistance is starting to smack the market down. So here's that moment where we ask ourselves, where do the buyers step in? Can they hold that zero line on the ticks? Can they remain in charge of the market? They're testing it right now. And can they build up support here at a higher price? Or do they need to come all the way back to halfback? If they can bring in buyers right now, that will be bullish for continuation. Dan, yes. One must know how one must clinch one's butt. Okay, so we got buyers right there at that support around 4,005. So now, was that enough to poke through this resistance to get us back through the base of the single prints at 40.15? Or do we get smacked down again? Okay, market creating a poor high, increasing the odds that they're going to push higher. There's a repair of the poor high. So the next major resistance is 40.15. Can we break through? Value area pulling up to the high of the day increases the odds of continued momentum to the upside. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. Now, please head on back to focusing on the market and the opportunity to make money here. We have a gap and go. So again, right now, I'm not focused on the resistance. I know there's resistance. That's not my focus. My focus is on the buyers. They got above the A period high here in the B period. And what are they doing since then? Bringing in most of the volume above that A period high. So we are still bringing in new buyers at the high, which is bullish. But Charles, doesn't it look like those ticks are about to break? Yeah, but as long as they're above the zero line, they're okay. Hello, Scooball. Good morning, no auto trading. All right, here we go. Back to test the zero line once again. The question, can they remain in control? What happened the last two times we came down here? Those buyers, they smacked the sellers right in the face. Let's see what happens this time. All right, there's the smack in the face. So the buyers remain in control. Increasing the odds, we're heading back up. We got 189 souls watching the stream. Only 62 likes. Please smash that like button. I've heard it's good luck. It'll help you win more money. That's what they say. They say that. Okay? Something to consider. Scott says, I'll hit the like button if you whisper sweet nothings to the market to get back to 15. Well, I have some good news for you. I don't have to whisper anything. The market is whispering to me that it wants to go back to 15. Remember, it's like I said before. When the market has momentum, you don't worry about resistance. Okay? Don't worry about what feels like sellers taking control. You ignore that. All you focus on is support. You focus on the buyers. Because on a day like today, when the market's just working its way up towards the opposite end of balance, it'll be the type of day where all day long, the market's going to make you think it's about to pull back. It's going to make you think it's run out of momentum and it's going to crash and burn. And then it'll just slowly keep going. And then all of a sudden at the end of the day, you find yourself up there at the opposite end of balance. The only trick to not being fooled is to pay attention to support, not resistance, right? Every step of the way this morning, when the market has tested support, support has been there. Slowly but surely, support has stepped in. So as long as the buyers continue to remain in control, just assume they can keep on pushing. Okay, so let's test this next resistance of 15. And they're through. That's bullish to see. Charles, I don't understand. I know you already explained it twice, but just one more time. What the heck are you talking about? Look, when the market is in balance like this, when it's doing this dance, it doesn't know whether it wants to go up and down. So it's just short-term traders picking each other's pockets, pushing it as far as they can one way or another. When we have a balance area, once you look below the balance area low, the highest probability is that you're heading up to test the balance area high. Speaking of which, we're just getting up there now. So the only thing you can do in between is watch the short-term momentum. The short-term momentum broke last week when the low from this day broke the low from this day, and then we followed the momentum lower, including the spike at the end of the day, which we followed the momentum down all the way to here. And then Friday, when we broke back through that level, we followed the momentum back up right into the spike at the end of the day, which got us bullish this morning on a gap for the potential for continuation. That's all it is. When no one's like bigger picture, no one's really in charge, the market just drifts from one end to the other again and again. Got another week high. So now the question becomes, can we turn previous resistance into support? So the area right here around the 4014, 4015 area that was just working as resistance, can we now turn that into support? We're back to playing that game. Are the buyers still in control? It will shock you how far they can push it as long as they remain in control. Evolved Monkey says, and we know they're out of control by ticks below zero or support starts to fail. Yes, I don't think out of control is the right term, but yes, no longer in control. Yeah. Well, what's most likely now, not that I like to make guesses ahead of time, I like to just go with whatever the market gives me, but it seems like they'll probably be able to keep this momentum going at least into the C period. So the best signal will likely be, if the D period dips below the C or, so on and so forth throughout the rest of the day, whenever the trend comes to an end officially. But as long as we are inside the initial balance right now, we haven't actually started trending yet. Yeah, the best clue you've got is, does support break, do the ticks, the zero line break. But even that, if you remember earlier this morning, I said, when we got above the opening price, I was willing to even give it a lot of space to grind because I know how they do it. They make you think the market's going to go down first, then they finish the move. So once I got the gap and go, once I knew the buyers were at yesterday's high, that's really the main focus. Do we keep getting new buyers? As long as we do, I assume they're in charge. And by the way, for what it's worth, those of you that watch Jim Dalton's review of the week ahead, Jim Dalton thinks we're going to have nothing but balance all week until the FOMC notes on February 1st. So that prediction would mean this sideways move shall continue. On the daily. So the high remains weak. Once again, they're using the icebergs to try to hold it down. And so we assume the reason they chose this level was so that they could get people to short right now at this very moment and put their stops above there so that once it comes through, those stops become momentum to keep it going. Mark says more buying icebergs holding it up. Yeah, that's a good note. Little tug of war between two computers there. So on the conversation of this area around 15 and turning previous resistance into support, one way you can see that if you're looking at the heat map on Bookmap, you can see where, oh, yellow is not a good color for this. You could see where that resistance was before. You can see where the volume was, the liquidity was. Are we now turning that into support over here? What they call flipping the order book. Are we now turning what was sellers into buyers? Of course, we can see that's what's happening. Oh, there's those stops. There they are from before. Remember? Gotcha. Thomas Shelby says time is not a bear's friend right now. I suppose it depends what time frame you're talking about. Are these short-term intraday bears or longer-term bears? So, for example, just to clarify that point, for a shorter-term bear, yeah, they're screwed. The momentum here could last all day long. But for a longer-term bear, we're getting right back up towards the upper end of that balance area now. Right? This is the area where the bears have been able to take control in the past. So longer-term bears are okay. But yeah, if you're an intraday bear, dust. David says, so I'm assuming that you're long the market from support, and is this a usual entry for you? Yes, sir. That's how I do it. When I see momentum up, I buy support and I sell resistance. So when you see an arrow that says support, that's probably where I'm looking to get long. And where you see an arrow that says resistance, that's probably where I'm looking to take profits. Martin, when the live streams are coming to an end, will you still be doing something similar in the brigade? Yes, sir. I'll be doing this exact thing, but just only for brigade members and just for the first hour of the day, not all day. Crash, can we look at the queue? We absolutely can. Let's see what's going on with the queue. Okay, so NQ exactly the same as the ES. You have a spike up. Okay, end of the day on Friday. A very small gap up this morning. You filled that gap, immediately found support inside yesterday's range. Almost exactly on yesterday's closing price, on Friday's closing price. Okay, turn back around through there. You had yourself a gap and go. You got through the opening price again. Didn't even come back. I'm sorry, the overnight high didn't even come back to back test it. So yeah, you got a lot of momentum on the NQ right now. You just created a poor high, increasing the odds you're going to start one time framing higher. Once the C period breaks the B period high, the market is one time framing to the upside. That increases the odds that they will continue to push the market higher, as it is a signal that the buyers are still in charge. It will shock you how far they can push it when they are in charge. Can't say that enough. There is no signal the market can give you that is more bullish than a spike up followed by a gap and go. There is just no more bullish signal there is. Okay? So don't fight this momentum. As long as the buyers remain in control of the market, you either become a buyer, you buy support, and you join the party, or you step aside. Do not try to fight this momentum, because it will shock you how far they can push it. So now that you are one time framing higher on the NQ, you're looking for support at the base of the single prints around 11,823. If that breaks, you're looking to stay above 11,790. Okay? If you start to break below there, if you get through all this support and you break below the B period low, odds are you're just going to go sideways the rest of the day. So same exact thing on the ES. The market is now one time framing higher. That is bullish to see. That is the sign of a trend. So we are now looking for support on the ES. You've got your first support around 40.17, and then the base of the B period single prints at 40.12.50. Both of those areas should be able to hold a support. You've also got all of this support down here from earlier. You got the support from the halfback, all of that above breaking that B period low. So once again, I would say as long as you can find support above there, they can keep the market going higher, just slowly melting up all day long. But if they break below that B period low, if they start to get below 40.05, then the momentum is likely over and the market will just go sideways from there. So yeah, the buyers are in charge. Let's see how far they can push it. With that, I will say goodbye, farewell, au revoir. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we will see you here tomorrow morning. Members of the brigade, you know what time it is. Let's set sail.